designing a Swerve base, I've made a new Onshape document. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my assembly and I'm going to set up a variable studio. This allows me to use variables in all of my different part studios. So the first thing that you want to decide when you are making a Swerve base is how big is it. So I'm going to call this base dimension variable. And I can change this later, but I'm going to just place this as 24 inches for right now. And heading back to my part studio, I'm going to draw a top-down view of my base to make my first box channel. So I'm going to make a sketch on the top plane here, line up my view, and I'm going to do a center point rectangle. This is important because we're going to use this origin to rotate the Swerve modules around later. So drawing my rectangle out here now, I'm going to start dimensioning. I like using the keyboard shortcut for this, D. Now instead of typing 24 in here, I'm going to type in base dimension, and that will automatically set that to 24. And then to make this a square, I'm going to select my two sides, and I'm going to press the E key or the equal button here to make my base. Now for the box channel, I need to offset these, so I'm going to hit my offset tool, or O, select my four sides, hit enter, and then type in 1, hit enter again. And this gives me the inside of my 2x1 box channel. Finally, I'm going to go up to my extrude button and extrude this out 2 inches. So this is the basis of what my base will look like. Now with Swerve, we are going to have to basically cut some room in here so that the module can fit nicely inside. And how much room we cut depends on which module you're going to use. All right, so heading back to the assembly, I'm going to insert a max Swerve part just so I can take some measurements from it, just so that we can make sure that we're making this right. And you should do this if you are using any of the other Swerve modules. So got it here, I got a max Swerve, I'm going to insert it. Most of these settings shouldn't really matter. But I'll just set high speed, aluminum wheels. I'm not going to add the motor controllers in this one, and I will just insert this. All right, and so some things that we are concerned with is basically if we think about our square, a box channel back there, we need to cut out a space equivalent from this plane, which is like the outside of my frame perimeter, back up to this this box here. So the box channel needs to basically end here, and the distance that we are subtracting is the distance between this flat part right here and the kind of outside of my frame perimeter there. And you can see that that distance is 3.5 inches. You'll have to check the other Swerve modules for those distances, but they all should have something equivalent. All right, so we have 3.5 inches. Good to know. I'm going to go back to my part studio, open up my variable table, and I will type in Swerve size, Swerve dimension maybe, and this will be 3.5 inches. All right, moving on, I'm going to chop out those spaces for the corners. So I'm going to make a sketch on the top here, and going back to the corner rectangle, I'm going to draw my rectangle in there. Going on, I will dimension this to be the Swerve dimension there, and just like the other square, I'm going to select these two and make them equal. Everything should be all black. Now I could do that for all 4 other corners, but as I am lazy, I'm going to draw a construction line down the middle, making sure to go from endpoint to endpoint. All right, and I'll do the same thing. I'm going to draw a line, make sure that it is construction, it's the Q key, and make a cross here. Now I can mirror. This is my mirror line, my entities to be mirrored with a square. All right, good. I'm going to hit mirror again, this time here. Entities to be mirrored here and here, and good. Hit the enter or hit the escape key. All right, so these are my Swerve modules. If I needed to change these for something else, I would come back and do that later. But we're going to go ahead and extrude this. I'm going to add I'm going to select the remove section here. I'm going to change that to through all. See, that looks pretty good. Now, I don't want all 4 of these yet because I'm going to revolve them later. So in this part as well, I'm going to leave just my front box channel. So I can look up here, I can see that this is my front. So I'm actually also going to cut out these 3 sides. All right, and why go through all that trouble? I want this origin point. It's very important to me. Okay, from here, we're going to add some features to this box channel before we revolve it, so we don't have to do this work a whole lot. But one thing to consider here is that depending on the spacing between my holes and my space dimension, I'm going to have a different number of holes on here. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of math to determine how many holes I have on my top. So I'll come back for that. So one of the things I have to determine first is how far away my hole needs to be from the edge. I'm going to call this the hole offset. And going back to my assembly where I can look at the module, that distance is going to be from this hole to this flat place here. If I look down here, it says 0.402. That's not the number I'm looking for. This is the minimum distance between the circle and the plate, and I would like the more like the center distance. So clicking this little measurement details button, I can see a whole list here. And if I check out this center distance, right, you can see the Y distance is actually 0.5 inch. So going back here, I can add in, and call this base hole offset is going to be 0.5 inches. Another thing I need to come up with is I'm going to do base hole spacing. This will be the distance between holes. I'm going to call that 1 inch. So I need to figure out a formula basically for how many holes go on this box channel that depends on the base hole offset and the base hole spacing. And I already have that formula, but I'll walk you through what it means. So to do this, I'm going to make a new variable called numHoles. That will be a number. And to do this, I need to start with how long is this piece right here. And that's pretty straightforward. The length of this piece right here is base dimension minus 2 just to any for right now. Nope. Let's try this one more time. Base dimension minus 2 times swerve dimension. All right, and that gives me 17 inches, which I can see that is. Next, I don't really care about the length of the box channel. I'm more concerned with the distance from that hole to that hole. So to find the distance from that, I'm also going to add in minus 2 times swerve dimension minus 2 times, let me put this in parentheses as well, 2 times base hole offset. All right, that should give me 16 inches with between those holes. And so 16 inches, it may seem like that you would need 16 holes if the spacing is 1. That's not actually the case, because the distance between 2 holes is 1 inch, the distance between 3 holes is 2 inches, and so on and so forth. So from here, you actually need to add 1 to there. But that's not it yet, because if your base hole spacing is different than 1 inch, we also need to do something with there. So I'm going to take this whole thing, and I'm going to divide it by base hole spacing, and then I'm going to add 1. So that says there's 17 holes. If I was to change the base hole spacing to something like 0.5 inches, that would bump it up to 33 holes. Not super important, but this is the full function. Base hole dimension minus 2 times swerve dimension minus 2 times base hole offset divided by base hole spacing plus 1. All right, a lot of work, but that is pretty important if I want to make this a flexible design. I'm going to get started now. Make a sketch on the top pattern here. I'm going to add a circle anywhere. I want this circle to be spaced a certain distance from that side, and I want it to be centered. So I'm going to draw a construction line from here to that center point. This line should be horizontal, and the length of this line should be base hole offset. Next, I don't have a variable for my circle size yet, so that could be anything you want, really. I'll do base hole size will be something like, I think we usually do 5 millimeters. That's about a 832 or so. So I will dimension this now to be base hole size. All right, and then I will do a linear pattern. Linear pattern. The distance here will be negative base hole spacing. The number here will not be 3, it will be num holes. And you can see that goes right up to the end like I want. And I will now extrude this, saying to remove through all. And for some reason it didn't select my sketch, so I'll select sketch here. Great, that added my side holes. I'll also add some front holes now in a very similar way. Making a sketch here. I'm going to add a circle. I am a fan of mirroring whenever possible, so I'm going to draw a construction line here to mirror these around. I'm going to dimension this to be, let's see, base hole size. And these I will also dimension to be some amount apart. I guess you could use a variable for this if you want, but I don't think I'm going to change that too often. This spacing as well will be base hole offset, just like the top, so those line up nicely. And just like before, I'm going to select these two and do a linear pattern. The number will be num holes. The spacing will be base hole spacing. Then I'll go ahead and extruded cut those as well, making sure to select remove and through all. Oh, that didn't work for some reason. Oh, I need to select the sketch. All right, there we go. The last thing I'm going to do on this box channel, oh, actually, okay, so I made a little mistake here. I don't want to go through all, I just want to go up part of the way. How far do I want to go? Maybe I don't know yet. So hang tight. I'm actually going to drag this rollback bar back a little bit before I made that sketch, and I want to make my box channel actually hollow. Before I do this, I think I'll add another variable. I'll call this base wall thickness. I don't know what this is. You know, let's say we're going very thin. We did a 1.2 millimeter wall thickness. Now, what I'm going to want to do now is make a sketch on the side here. I'm going to hit my offset button. Where are you? Offset. With these 4 lines. Hit enter. Set this to base wall thickness. Enter again. And I'm going to extruded cut now, extrude remove, I should say, through all the way to the end. All right, so I have my hollow box channel now. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to drag back this rollback bar. And for my extrude, instead of going through all, I'm going to just say up to next. And that will actually only go through that one side. Obviously, if you needed holes on the other side, you would want to go through all, or say go up to that side. All right, so that was a little bit of work, but it's all going to pay off now because I can just copy these 4 box channels, and because I already have my kind of master sketch of what the frame is going to look like, it's going to be a lot easier. To revolve, I need to have an axis, so I'm going to draw a line on this front plane here coming up from the origin. So I'm going to hit sketch, I'm going to hit the front plane, I'm going to just draw a nice vertical line there, hit the check mark, and I'm even going to rename this to just call this rotational axis. All right, from here I'm going to rotate, can't find it, I'm just going to search here, rotate, revolve, no, that's not what I want. Oh, sorry, circular sketch pattern, circular pattern. I guess it was under here. And for my circular pattern, I want to, first of all, I'm going to do a, part pattern. I'm going to part pattern this part. The axis I'm going to pattern is this line, and the instance count is 4. Right, that's all I need. So I have my 4 box channels now, and we're ready to build our assembly. But just to kind of show off these features, I can change this base dimension whatever I want. So I could bump this down to 18 if I felt like it. And change my whole spacing to 1 inch, and oh, that didn't work. Huh, it just said 0.5. I could have sworn I typed in base hole spacing. But that should not have happened. Anyways, let's try this again. Baseball spacing, I've changed you to 0.5. You adapt, excellent. I change you to 1. You also adapt. I change you to 18. You adapt, wonderful. I change you back to 22. Okay, so it looks like it's working now. That was strange. All right, from here, let's bring this into the assembly so we can start adding on our Swerve modules. I'm going to go into the assembly, and I'm going to hide this for now. I don't want to deal with this right now, because actually I want to place my base around this origin as well. It's going to help me a lot. So to do this, I'm going to insert my Part Studio 1. Now, rather than clicking somewhere, I'm just going to hit the check mark. And this has the advantage of inserting it where the origin is. So now my base shares my origin with my assembly. That'll actually be pretty helpful down the line. Another thing I want to do is I want to group my base so that right now these can move individually. Don't want that. So I'm going to select these. I'll search for group up here. Hit the check mark. All right, now if I were to want to move these, I would move them as a group. However, I do like where they are right now, so I am going to fix this. And now everything should be nice and locked in place. Yeah. Okay, bringing back my Swerve module, I want to pop this on this corner, I think. I'm not going to use the holes because if I change my base size, these holes location will actually change. So what I'm going to do to mate this is I'm actually going to use the planar mate for this, where I'm going to mate this outside surface to this flat part. Great. And I'm going to mate this outside surface to this flat part. Wonderful, wonderful. And the last thing I need to do is I'll do this bottom part to this bottom part. Great. All right, and there is my my Swerve module all ready to go. Now I could do that for the other 4, but as a lazy person, I want to just rotate these around. I think that's pretty symmetrical. To do that, I need an axis. To do that, I need a mate connector. I'm going to just add it right in the middle here. And then I'm going to search for a circular assembly, circular pattern. Instances will be this max swerve. Axis will be this mate connector. Instance count is 4. And that's it. I'm done.